Hi, I just thought I'd do a Facebook Live. I'm not very experienced in doing it, so if it doesn't work quite according to plan, then please forgive me. But I just thought I'd have a go at this. I was on a clubhouse chat this morning, and I've been doing it as an experiment since August, and I'm going to do it until December. The second Friday, L&D Mastermind, natter, I'm calling it. And it's been great. It's been fabulous. And we had such a good conversation this morning. We were talking about experiential learning. And what I really enjoyed about it was there weren't many of us there, but it was a fabulous chat. And it took us places I never actually imagined that we would actually go. So my perception of experiential learning, and other people's as well, is that it's learning which is as near as possible to what the thing is that you're learning about. So if you are in a call center, it's maybe doing role play, or maybe it's doing videos, something which is very, very real, or maybe it's a real world simulation as well. So that was our perception of what it is. My additional thoughts to that were that it's got to include emotion in it, because when you tie in emotion into a learning experience, it's much more memorable. And Rob Moore's shared a really interesting couple of stories about how that's been used in real training sessions, where the trainer didn't make themselves known and just allowed people to jabber on and start complaining about a training session, and then went on to run a session on the importance of things you say and how you behave in the workplace as well. I also experienced, as a very new trainer, the trainer that was training us, he came in after a couple of days after lunch and was all over the place, really nervous, jittery, standing up, sitting down, and I felt absolutely terrible. I was willing him to be what he was before, and he wasn't. And then he stopped. He was just role playing, and it had such an impact on me. The whole object lesson of this was that really, as a trainer, if you're standing up in front of people, they don't want you to fail. And that feeling of discomfort, that willing him to get back to what he had been like, was really important for me to remember. And that stayed with me ever since. Just going back to the origins of experiential learning, we can trace it back to David Kolb, 1984. And the thing about some of these models, which are academic, is that the language they use, I think, puts people off, and it becomes prohibitive in terms of spreading the message of what really good learning should be about. And so David Kolb talked about concrete learning, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, active experimentation, which trips off the tongue, doesn't it? Well, actually, what he was talking about was that we do something, which is to do with our job. We have a think about it. We change our thinking about it. We have new ideas, and then we do it. We experiment and we do it. And so for me, the language that we use when we're talking about these models is really, really important. In our chat, in our clubhouse chat, we got on to coaching. We talked about coaching and people learning about coaching, and how important it is for people to experience coaching first of all before they come to be coaches. Because I have to admit this, I'm a bit embarrassed, but I was a mentor for long-term unemployed for many people many years ago. And as a mentor, I had the most fantastic advice that I gave to people. And I was always surprised 2 weeks later when they turned up having not followed my advice. And when I found out about coaching, and when I experienced coaching, I discovered that when people come up with their own ideas, that they are more bought into them, and that they will act on their actions more so than if I tell them to do something. And again, this sort of brought us back in the discussion about experiential learning, that It's got to be tied in with emotion. It's got to be tied in with something real that happens. And so when you're doing coaching training, somebody has to experience and see the benefits of what coaching is about. One activity that I have done in the past with people, when I've been helping them to gain some coaching skills, and to win them over that coaching is a really valuable tool to have, is we've had a room of people, split the room in half, half form the inner circle, another half form an outer circle. And then we go through the GROW model in 4 stages. A bell rings or a buzzer goes, and one person who is opposite the other starts asking goal type questions. And then the buzzer goes after 2 minutes, and the next person, they switch around, so they move around in the circle, so they get a different partner. So the next partner doesn't even know what the goal is, but what they do is they then ask reality type questions, and then the buzzer goes after 2 minutes, and then they switch round, so the inner circle move clockwise, the outer circle counterclockwise, and again they don't know what the goal is, they don't know anything that's been discussed, but then they start to ask options type questions, and so on. And through an activity like that, it wins the hearts and minds of those people that may be skeptical about what you're trying to help them learn. And Rob Moore's talked about also, which was a real learning point for me, was the difference between accountability and responsibility. Because in coaching, what you're trying to do is actually increase responsibility. But as part of coaching, we talk about accountability a lot of the time. And how do you make people want to feel responsible for something? And that was a real learning point for me, actually, because I've never really thought about it. So thanks, Rob, for sharing that with us, the difference between accountability and responsibility. And I think you said, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that if you make people more responsible for what they do, then they will also be able to be accountable to others as well. So next month in Clubhouse, we decided that there were 3 of us only, and it was a nice group, but we decided that we're going to talk about ROI of learning. Is it possible to measure? How do you measure it? Where do you start? And it's right up my street. It's on November the 12th. It's a Friday, and it's at 9 a.m. And if you're not in Clubhouse, it's available on Android now as well. So join Clubhouse. Look out for me. I'm really easy to find with the way I spell my name. But if you want to join in a conversation like this as well, then just join us in the Clubhouse. The second Friday, L&D Mastermind, L&D Natter. All right. Well, it's been an experience. So, yeah, see you soon. Bye.